Hello, this is Math 0018 and this is the practice test for test 3. So, there's going to be 25 questions on this test and we're going to go through all 25. So number 1, find all the factors of the number of 56. So this is the problem where you start with 1 and say, okay, 1 times what gives me 56? Times 56. And then you try 2 and you divide 56 by each number, working your way up. So 56 divided by 2, that goes evenly 28 times. So you use your calculator. It's no big deal. If you think about 3, well, 5 plus 6 is 11. 3 doesn't go into 11, so 3 won't go into 56. Okay? But then we're going to try 4. 56 divided by 4 comes out nice and even as 14. So 4 and 14 are also factors. 5 does not go. 6 doesn't go. 7 goes 8 times. And then 8 times 7, the next number up, that's a repeat, so we know we can stop. So there's all your factors. And so most of the time when you're putting them into your web assignments, into the homework and quizzes, you'll usually just put the numbers in a list separated by commas. So you can put them in numerical order if you want to, or they don't have to be in numerical order. It doesn't matter, but you want to just make sure you've got them all listed there. Okay, so 1, 2, 4, 7, 8, 14, 28, and 56. Now, number 2, find the prime factorization of 80. Okay, this is the factor trees. So if we start with 80, I'm going to split it into 8 times 10. Okay, 8's not prime, so we're going to break that into 2 and 4. 2 is prime, so I circle it. 4 breaks down into 2 and 2. Circle those. And then 10 would be 2 and 5. Okay, and those are both prime. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 2's. So the answer is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times the 5. And that would be the prime factorization there. All right, number 3, find the least common multiple of 8 and 12. So this is where we start off and we do the prime factorization of both numbers. So 8 would be 2 and 4. Divide 4 down into 2 and 2. Those are all prime. So that's done. And then 12, I'm going to break that into 3. That doesn't look like a 12, but it is. 3 and 4. 3 is prime. 4 is 2 and 2. And those are both prime. Now, write them in a line. 8 is 2 times 2 times 2. Okay? 12 is 2 times 2 times 3. Now, remembering the LCM. This is where maybe the L will help you remember you're going to circle long ways, back and forth, left to right. Okay, you have to find the biggest number of 2's, which would be here on the top, all those 2's, and the biggest number of 3's would just be the 3 in the bottom. So I circled the whole top line. So 2 times 2 times 2 is 8 times 3 would give me 24. And that's the least common multiple. Okay? Now, number 4, find the GCF. We still start out the same way by using the prime factorization. This one's kind of weird because 23 is prime, so we're not going to mess with that. We're just going to leave it alone for now. 92, I can divide by 2, and what the heck is that? I think it's 46. Let's see, 12 carry 1. Yep, okay. 2 is prime. I'm going to divide 46 by 2, and that gives me 23. Okay, so 2 is prime, so is 23. So here's the deal. When we write down the first number, 23, we're just going to write equals 23 because it's prime. All right, and then 92 is 2 times 2 times 23. So the greatest common factor here, this is where you circle up and down to find your common factors. Well, the only thing they have in common is the 23. So the greatest common factor there is 23 because that goes into itself and it also goes into 92. All right, number 5, express the shaded portion of the circle as a fraction. So the circle is cut into 4 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's your denominator. And the shaded part, there's 3 pieces shaded, so it would be 3/4. Number 6, write the fraction in simplest form. So we have 8 over 38. Well, they're both even, so I can reduce by 2 on the top and the bottom. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 38 divided by 2 is 19. And then nothing will go into both 4 and 19, so that would be it. Number 7, write 5/9 as an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 18. So this is where we go back and divide. 18 divided by 9 is 2. So I have to multiply by 2. So I have to multiply 5 times 2. So that means that 10 is what's going to go in there in that box. So the answer there is 10. Okay? Number 8 and 9. Write your answer in simplest form. So remember, with fractions, adding and subtracting, you have to have a common denominator. Okay? So look at number 8. This is nice. We do have a common denominator. They're both over 9. So 4/9 plus 2/9 would be 6 over 9. But we can reduce that by 3. Can divide by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. So we just get 2/3. Excuse me. Number 9, we have -3/4 plus 2/5. Now, these do not have a common denominator, so I'm going to set them up vertically so I can remember to come out here and get that common denominator. So for 4 and 5, the common denominator would be 20. Okay, 20 divided by 4 is 5. So if I multiply the numerator, -3 times 5 is -15. And then on the bottom fraction, 20 divided by 5 is 4. So 2 times 4 is 8. Now I have a negative and a positive, so I have to subtract. 15 minus 8 would be -7, because the 15 is larger, over 20. And that's the answer there. All right, number 10, easy for me to say, express the shaded portion of the circles as a mixed number and as an improper fraction. Okay, so the first 2 circles are completely filled, so that's 1 and 1, which would be 2. And look at the last circle, only 1 of the 4 is shaded, so that would be 1/4. So your mixed number is 2 and 1/4. Then go back and change that mixed number to an improper fraction. So 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 would be 9 over 4. So you have to make sure that you give both answers on that. Okay, I'll be looking for 2 answers there, so be careful. All right, number 11, multiply. So remember, when you multiply, you don't have to have a common denominator. You just need to see about what the sign will be and if you can cancel. So a positive times a negative is going to give me a negative. Figure out that sign first. Now, I can definitely cancel the 7s. If I divide by 7, I'm left with 1 and 1. And 6 and 18, 6 goes into both of those. So 6 divided by 6 leaves 1, and 18 divided by 6 leaves 3. So if you look, you've got 1 over 3 times 1 over 1, which is just going to give you 1 on top and 3 on the bottom. So -1/3. Number 12, you need to divide. So remember, it's keep, change, flip. So a negative divided by a negative is going to be a positive. And we have -3/8, keep that the same, change it to multiplication, and flip -7 over 3. Okay, remember, you multiply by the reciprocal. So we already have the sign, and you can cancel the 3's here. 3 divided by 3 leaves 1 on both of those. And we have 1 times 7 is 7, and 8 times 1 is 8. So a positive 7/8 is your answer there. All right, number 13. We have another division problem. 3/8 divided by -11 over 12. So a positive divided by a negative is going to be a negative. And we're going to do keep, first one, change it to multiplication, and flip negative 12 over 11. Okay? So here, let's see, 3 and 11, no common factor, but 8 and 12 we can reduce by 4. So 8 divided by 4 is 2, 12 divided by 4 is 3. So 3 times 3 is 9, and 2 times 11 is 22. Now, a lot of people want to try and change this to a mixed number. You can't. The only time that you change something to a mixed number is if it's an improper fraction. This is a proper fraction, 9 over 22. You don't mess with that. That is your answer, negative 9 over 22. If you try to change it to a mixed number, you're doing it upside down. It's wrong, so be careful. Number 14. See, look at the difference here between 11 over 4 and 9 over 22. The number on top has to be bigger for you to change it to a mixed number. So we're going to write 11 over 4 as a mixed number. So we're going to divide. 11 divided by 4 goes 2 times. 4 will go into 11 2 times. That's 8. When we subtract, that's 3. So remember, you start at the top and work your way around clockwise. 2 and 3/4. And that's your mixed number. All right, number 15. Write 6 and 1/3 as an improper fraction. So this is where we multiply and add. So 3 times 6 is 18, plus 1 would be 19 over 3. And there's your improper fraction. Number 16. Add 4 and 7/9 plus 2 and 8/9. So the first thing we want to do is change them to improper fractions. Okay, anytime you have a mixed number and you're doing an operation with it, you always change it to an improper fraction first. That's always the first step. All right, so we've got 9 times 4 is 36, plus 7, what the heck is that? 36, 43 over 9. Okay, let me double check. I'm pretty sure it's late at night, so there's no telling. 43 is correct. All right. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 8 is 26 over 9. Now, the nice thing, we have common denominators there. Okay, so I can add 43 plus 26, and that gives me 69 over 9. Now, anytime you're dealing with mixed numbers, you probably want to go ahead and write your answer as a mixed number. So we're going to take 69 divided by 9. Okay, that'll go 7 times. That's 63, and that leaves 6. So we have 7 and 6 over 9. Now, you can't leave it like that because these 6/9 can be reduced by 3. 3, okay, so that would be the 7 stays the same, and you would have 2/3, and that would be your final answer there. All right, number 17. We want to add these mixed numbers. So once again, first step, change them to improper fractions, okay. That's a plus sign. Ugh, made a big mess. Okay, so 8 times 1 is 8, plus 5 is 13 over 8. And 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 would be 7 over 2. Okay, and we didn't have to worry about any signs or anything. So here, the common denominator between 8 and 2 would just be 8. So set that up. So 8 divided by 8 is 1. 13 times 1 is 13. Okay. On the bottom fraction, 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 7 times 4 is 28. Okay. So now the signs are the same, so we add the numerators, and that should be 41 over 8. Now change it to a mixed number. So 8 will go into 41 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40, and that leaves 1. And then write your mixed number. 5 and 1/8. That's the answer there. Okay. Look at number 18. 10 and 4/7 minus 2 and 5/7. I don't need to change the subtraction sign because 10 is bigger than 2. So I can just go ahead and work it the way it's written with changing those to improper fractions. So 7 times 10 is 70, plus 4 would be 74 over 7. And 2 times 7 is 14, plus 5 is 19 over 7. Now, the nice thing here, common denominators, which is very nice. So now we subtract 74 minus 19, and that gives you 55 over 7. So we want to divide that out to get our mixed number. 55 divided by 7 goes 7 times. 7 will go into 55 7 times. 7 times 7 is 49. So if we subtract, you're left with 6. So we have 7 and 6/7. And that's the mixed number there. Excuse me. All right, number 19. Find the product. So same thing. Whenever we're dealing with mixed numbers, first step, change them to improper fractions. Okay, multiply, add. So 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 is 18 over 5, times 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 would be 5 over 4. Now, we don't have to worry about any signs, but we are going to see if we can cancel. Since it's multiplication, you don't do any flipping, you don't do any common denominators, you just see if you can cancel. Well, 5s cancel easily. Divide by 5, I'm left with 1. Divide by 5, you're left with 1. And 4 and 18 have a common factor of 2. So if I divide 4 by 2, I'm left with 2. And 18 divided by 2 is 9. So I have 9 times 1 is 9, and 1 times 2 is 2. So we need to change that improper fraction, so divide it out. 9 divided by 2, 2 will go 4 times, that's 8, and that leaves 1. So our mixed number is going to be 4 and 1/2. And that's the answer there. All right, number 20, find the quotient. So we have 19, I'm going to put it over 1, and we're going to change the mixed number 2 and 1/9 to an improper fraction. So 19 over 1, keep it as division right now. That's going to be 9 times 2 is 18, plus 1 is 19 over 9. So now we do keep it the same, change it to multiplication, and flip. Remember, use the reciprocal. So 9 over 19. Now, the nice thing here, the 19s cancel. Those just are going to cancel out to 1s. So we end up with 9 over 1, which is just 9. Not too bad. All right? Number 21. We need to add these two fractions. So we have 3/5 plus negative 14 over 15. So I'm going to have to put these vertically, because whenever you add or subtract, you have to have a common denominator. So 5 and 15 here, the common denominator would be 15. Okay, so 15 divided by 5 is 3, and 3 times 3 would be 9. Okay, and 15 divided by 15 is 1, so negative 14 times 1 would be negative 14. So if you have a negative 14 and a positive 9, you have to subtract there, okay, and keep the sign of the larger number, so you're going to get negative 5 over 15. And remember, you can reduce that. 5 will go into both the top and the bottom, so divide by 5, and you're going to end up with negative 1/3, and that's your final answer. All right, 22. We're multiplying fractions again. So remember, you don't need a common denominator. You just need to figure out the sign and see if you can cancel. So first of all, our sign is going to be a negative times a negative will be a positive. Now, I can cancel 3 and 9 and 2 and 4. Everything's going to cancel. 3, we can divide 3 and 9 by 3. So 3 divided by 3 leaves 1. 9 divided by 3 leaves 3. 2 and 4, 2 is the common factor. 2 divided by 2 leaves 1, and 4 divided by 2 leaves 2. So we have 1/2 times 1/3. So you multiply across the top, you get 1, and 2 times 3 would be 6. So we have a positive 1/6 there. Number 23. Now we're getting into equations just like we had in the last section of the chapter. So if we're trying to solve for c here, we have negative 1/3 equals c minus 4/5. The negative 4/5 is on the same side with the c, so I need to get rid of that by adding it. I'm going to add 4/5 to both sides. So I'm going to drop down and give myself some room. In fact, I'm going to do that on this side because it's just easier to put the common denominators to the right. I'm so used to doing that. And then have c on the other side because that's what we're trying to get. Those 4/5 cancel. So 3 and 5, the common denominator would be 15. So I'm just going to set it up like that. Okay? So 15 divided by 3 is 5. Now, negative 1 times 5, negative 5. Okay? 15 divided by 5 is 3, so 4 times 3 would be 12. So we're looking at negative 5 plus 12. You have to subtract, keep the bigger sign, the sign of the bigger number. That would be 7 over 15. Is that right? Yeah. Equals C, and that would be it. 24. We have solved the equation 2/7 x equals 4. Now, the fraction on this one that we want to get rid of, the 2/7, is right beside the variable. So this is where you have to use your reciprocal. So you're going to multiply both sides by 7 over 2. That's the reciprocal. So on the left, times 2/7 x, and then 7 over 2 on the other side, and we can put that 4 over 1. Okay? All right, so on the left, the 2's cancel out to 1's, the 7's cancel out to 1's, and we're just left with x. Remember, if you're not left with just x, you're screwing up. Okay, so be careful there. On the right-hand side, we don't have to worry about any signs, but we can cancel the 2 and the 4. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we have 7 times 2 is 14 over 1, so x equals 14. And the last problem. Dun dun dun! Yay, I'm so excited. You can tell, right? All right, 3/10 equals 3/5 y. So I want to get the y by itself, which means I need to get rid of the 3/5. When the fraction's right beside the variable, that's when you use the reciprocal. Okay? So we're going to take the reciprocal of 3/5, which would be 5/3, and multiply by 3/10, and then 5/3 times 3/5 y. Okay? So on the left-hand side, the 3's cancel to just 1's, and 5 and 10 have a common factor of 5. So if I divide by 5, 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Okay? So this is what I have left on the left side. 1 over 1 times 1 over 2. So we get 1/2. Okay? Now look at the right-hand side. The 5's cancel to 1's. The 3's cancel to 1's also. That's a 1. And you're just left with y. So the answer is y equals 1/2. So that should do it for the practice test for test 3. But the main thing you need to use to study for this test is the online practice test 3 in WebAssign. Not only does it get, it's just like the test with different numbers, but you can also earn extra credit. So make sure you read your emails from me and check in on all that stuff and make sure you're ready. So good luck.